82 degrees, and then a chance of storms Saturday night with a low of 68. Right now in St. Peters, we have 56 degrees. It's 59 in Florissant and downtown at the Arch. It's 59 degrees. I'm Maria Kina, KMOX News.
Y98 presents the St. Louis City Soccer Report on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
St. Louis City Soccer Report coming your way. Nate Gatter and Jennifer Siess with you from our downtown studios. Matt Pajeski is running things. No St. Louis City game coming up this weekend, but we can look back on a goal-filled, exciting draw, 3-3 between City and Sporting KC last weekend in Kansas City, Kansas. And we will maybe look ahead a little bit at what's coming up after City's weekend off, because the next month or two will play a very big part in the position that City have coming down the stretch because of some of the games on this list. They see Houston again away. That's coming up in a week and a half. They'll also see LAFC, Cincinnati, Seattle, Inter Miami, then 4 games in a row after one against Chicago. So those 5 out of those next 6 after this little break are going to be testing type of games for St. Louis City. Jen, we have a busy show, but if people want to get involved, they can call us at 314-436-7900. That's 314-436-7900. They can tweet us at KMOX Sports. What else are we going to be doing tonight?
Well, first of all, about the game, if you're going to have a tie, you have 6 goals. Can't be too upset about that. It's very different than a 0-0 or 1-1 tie. 6 goals on the night. And of course, some of them come super late in the game, which was exciting. I was out in Kansas City, so that was fun to experience in a tiny booth with my laptop up on the luggage.
Well, not many three-person
no.
MLS radio crews. So.
No, courtesy of my son Liam's soccer that weekend. The team was out. The boys had a great time. Loved it. As far as the show tonight, what's on the docket is, of course, Dale Schilly to talk about that win. And he never ends, even though the team kind of has a week off. He doesn't have a week off.
Never.
He's busy with City Academy. Talking to him, we'll have Andrew Wiebe on. So we know him from MLS. He does, is it Extra Time or is it it's Extra Time, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a couple of shows there. He does Extra Time, and he was on with a few of the analysts, and they were discussing whether or not the Klaus Agata hit was legal or not. And he got in the middle of that and had some spicy content in terms of his Twitter threads, people debating that, of course, St. Louis fans on one side, Kansas City fans on the other. So he'll be joining us at 8:30. George Gansner will talk about laws of the game at 8:45. He'll also talk a little bit about that hit along with some other things. And then the second hour, we will have Josh McPherson. He is the director of the stadium grounds at St. Louis City. He was busy today. I visited with him at City Park. And it looks really different, Nate. It looks a whole lot different when it's just a bunch of sand, and some new sod was getting laid down today. They hope to be done with it by tomorrow. And then, of course, Bill McDermott, Mr. Soccer, he's always busy and fun to talk to. We can talk to him about anything you want. And he's got a podcast.
So a lot to get to tonight. Let's start with that 3-3 draw last weekend. I mean, it does feel like City have done almost nothing but draw this season. They've lost very rarely, but of course, as compared to, say, the NHL, where you're getting half the credit for a win if you at least get the game into overtime and ultimately lose. Just 1 point as compared to 3 in soccer. And so the draws mounting is sort of a problem for City. Even though they've only lost 1 game, they've drawn 6 out of their 9 this year, and that gives them 12 points. 2 wins, 6 draws, and the 1 defeat gives them 12 points, which for the moment puts them in a 3-way tie with LAFC and Austin for 7th in the Western Conference. City are 9th by virtue of Google has them 9th by virtue of their goal difference, but really they have a better goal difference than Austin. So regardless, it's crowded. They're sort of at the bottom of that playoff picture, but not a lot of distance separating. I mean, only 8 points at this stage separating LA Galaxy at the top of the West from Portland, who are in 11th place. It's really only Seattle, Dallas, and San Jose who have kind of fallen off the pace. And as mentioned, LAFC, and they're on 12 points as well. Houston, good team, on 13 points. So there are plenty of good clubs in the middle of that picture. But there's no doubt that City will miss. They already do. And at the end of the season, there's a good chance they will miss the 2 points here, the 2 points there that they've dropped by drawing instead of winning.
Yeah, and they'll tell you that it's by grabbing those points that they think that will actually serve them in the long run. That
right,
it might be
because the other way to look at it is a bonus point they picked up in games they could have lost.
But of course, I mean, the first thing we heard Coach Carnell talk about in the press conference was, happy to grab the point, but disappointed to give up the lead. I'm sure Sporting Kansas City can say the same thing. They
Right.
had the lead as well. So I didn't hear Peter Vermees talk about it, but I'm sure they're disappointed about that. That those momentary letdowns that happen. One of the most dangerous time to be scored on is after you score a goal, and it certainly shows true a little bit for City in a few different games. And I would imagine I wasn't able to be at training this week, but I would imagine that they were working on tightening up those screws, so to speak.
City, for perspective, only drew 5 games out of their 34 MLS games all of last year.
Really?
They already have 6 draws this year in just their first 9
Quota
games.
achieved.
Yes, and plus 1 and still 25 MLS regular season games to go. We'll talk more about that 3-3 draw with Sporting Kansas City last weekend when we are joined by Dale Schilly. Coming up after the break, it's the St. Louis City Soccer Report on KMOX.
Okay, I'm ready to record my jewelry store's new radio spot. I got a great script that really goes after Diamonds Direct and how they're nothing special and how we can match their price. Great stuff.
Oh, great. We have this new technology that bleeps out any false claims, so it saves us time with editing. So you can start anytime.
Okay, here goes. When you visit our jewelry store, we'll guarantee direct. Our diamonds come straight. We have cutters. And, hey, what the?
The hard truth is that other jewelry stores simply can't do what Diamonds Direct can. Diamonds Direct has special relationship with De Beers, international connections, and virtually unlimited buying power. The result is true direct importer pricing, exceptional quality, and up to 30 times the diamond selection you find at other stores.
I can't believe this thing won't let me say.
Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Get more truth at diamondsdirect.com.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call SNL. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
It's Tom Ackerman for Innsbruck. Just the beautiful homes at Innsbruck. The new Sonnenhaus houses are available this year. The newest style of living, combining the modern exterior of a treehouse with cozy interior elements of a cottage into one convenient and comfortable residence that can transition from a vacation home to a permanent residence. And it's so close to St. Louis, just a half hour from Chesterfield, an hour from downtown. Innsbruck-resort.com.
What better way to support your nutrition than with the multivitamin that was created right here in St. Louis? Neovitin Original Multivitamin was created by St. Louis physician Dr. Ribicki to support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Now, Neovitin Original Multivitamin is formulated with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Ribicki's proprietary blend to give you nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Neovitin is now conveniently available through our no-obligation monthly subscription. Cancel or pause at any time, and shipping is free. Support your nutrition with a subscription to Neovitin at neovitin.com today.
When you have Rhino Shield on your house, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal. It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo, because it's 100% waterproof. It takes care of the outdoor maintenance on whatever is on the outside of your home. The brick, the block, aluminum, steel, stucco. They can put this on with the 2 to 3 coat process. They're there about a week, and they do a great job. A lot of businesses have done it in the area. Several Firestones have done that. Vantage Credit Union over the years, Harlan Packaging down in DeSoto. Call Darren today and schedule your free estimate. 877-25-RHINO, easy to remember phone number, or go online today at 877-25-RHINO.com.
If you want jazz music, go to New Orleans. Bagels, New York. And for psychics, think California Psychics. You want the best, you go to the best. At California Psychics, home of free spirits and open minds, we know better than anyone what makes a good psychic. That's why we guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
What's the room again?
1240, down at the end.
Ooh, what's that? Sammy, don't touch that. That's someone's old food.
Here we are. Do you have the key?
You have both of ours.
Oh, right. not working.
Rub it.
Come on.
Try flipping it over.
Seriously. Why can't we go inside? I'm tired.
Give me yours.
You have mine.
All right.
What?
Please, if you
Dad,
could just...
why aren't you opening the door?
Can everyone just shut the...
Don't go there. Go on a real vacation. Go RVing. Learn more at GoRVing.com.
A staycation doesn't mean you have to stay at home. Enjoy a fun and relaxing stay at St. Genevieve, Missouri. Stay at quaint boutique hotels and bed and breakfast or an Airbnb. Outdoor enthusiasts can enjoy state and local parks, as well as golfing. If you're a history buff, St. Genevieve offers a variety of museums from French colonial to dinosaurs. Or if you want to indulge your palate, St. Genevieve has multiple wineries and fine dining options. Learn more at visitstegen.com. That's visitstegen.com. Produced cooperation with Visit Missouri.
The Y98 St. Louis City Soccer Report continues on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
More St. Louis City Soccer Report on this Thursday evening. Nate Gatter, Jen Siess with you. You can get in touch with the show at 314-436-7900 or by tweeting at KMOX Sports. Dale Schilly is with us now. You hear him on our sister station, Y98, as the analyst for all St. Louis City broadcasts, including the 3-3 draw in Kansas City, Kansas, that is, last weekend, 3-3. Dale, what were your overarching takeaways from another draw, but a somewhat different one, more of the Austin and LA Galaxy variety than the FC Dallas variety?
Yeah, I thought we were really good for the first half. I think we mentioned that on the broadcast. I thought it was one of the better halves that I've seen the team play. I thought we scored some great goals, obviously. Disappointed in some of the individual breakdowns that I think were fixable for the goals we gave away. It's one of those games where you felt like you were good enough for 3 points, but you go into Kansas City, you go away, and you get a point in a rivalry game. I think you still take it, but you wish you could have got 3.
So, Dale, I usually go to training during the week. I was not able to go. I've been a little bit under the weather, as we suspected from being in the booth Saturday night. So I did check a little bit and just kind of followed Twitter and looked at Tom Timmerman and Matt Baker, who were obviously at practice from Flyover Footy and Post-Dispatch. And Matt noted that Adeniran was back with the team. Nilsson's training in full. We know Yarrow and Blom are still rehabbing a bit, and Leuven is around running solo, not quite training, but I was surprised to see Samuel back in the mix.
Yeah, he's back in. I saw bits and pieces of training. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, and saw him competing with the guys. He's back in full swing, and seeing him and Nilsson back out there is huge. And the break in the action now kind of made for a natural time for guys to get reinserted. Don't know the depth of the issues and all that kind of stuff, but glad to see us get more towards full strength, because you need those extra legs. You need the options coming off the bench or on the field or whatever you got. It's good to have everybody back in.
We're going to have Andrew Wiebe from Apple TV on in just a few minutes, Dale, to talk about the Klaus foul or non-foul, obviously not called a foul, on Gatter in the build-up to that City goal. In your mind, when you watched it, first of all, in real time, did you think it was a foul? And then when you've seen it replayed probably quite a few times since, do you now think it's a foul?
Yeah, no, I don't. On both fronts, and live in person, and when I saw the replay, I just think it's a hard shoulder challenge. A moment where a guy went in determined to win it versus a guy that went in not expecting to get hit. And that's the end result. And some referees are going to call it, but the way that Alan Chapman, I think was the referee's name, the way that he called the game on that particular night, he let the game go. He from the get-go was allowing physical play. How many times have you ever seen a guy fall forward onto a ball when he gets nudged from behind and he collects the ball with his arms and the referee calls a handball? You never see it, but we saw it in this game. So he allowed physical play. He did it from the outset. He was consistent in his calls. I thought it was fair challenge based on the way the game was getting called.
Looking at that, we're going to have George on a little bit later this hour, who told me that there's a reason they put Alan. His opinion, they put Alan Chapman on that game. He is a little bit less maybe hard with his whistle and definitely with the cards. And when you're having a rivalry game, that they know that the fans want to see nice, aggressive, and good quality play with not a lot of game interruptions. And it seems like that might have happened when it comes to this referee choice pick.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case and George knows that, I mean, that's insightful because that's exactly the way it played out. And what a great, thing for the fans to be able to watch a game of that level. And it was a good level game, especially as spirited as it was, play out and not get stopped by whistles like we've seen before, where the game is halted and stopped so often that there's no continuity, no rhythm to the game. We got to see a flowing game and I thought it was, to be honest, I thought it was refereed really well based on just a consistent tone to the game from the ref.
Also there's definitely some frustration out there about having another tie. Yet I talked a little bit about it with Nate beforehand. It was 6 goals for a tie. So that's a pretty exciting game. And also I think we're still also seeing, I know that Coach Carnell is one of the first things he said was, of course, we're disappointed with not collecting the win. But I think it also speaks to the team being unwilling to give up in those last final moments. I mean, I mentioned it on the broadcast as well. I was really pretty much done thinking I was done typing up highlights and having those ready for post game. And sure enough, another one and almost lands Joey on the floor when they score the final goal. Can you speak about what that might mean later in the season for a team who's definitely not willing to give up until the final whistle?
Yeah, I think as a coach, you always call back on the moments to help rally the troops, and you can always say, remember when, and we had our backs against the wall here, and here's how we fought our way out of it. So, yeah, I mean, I think certainly Bradley will call back on these moments, but he's also going to call back on, we had a 2-1 lead and we let it get away from us. He can also call back on the fight and the battles that we had to create chances. And we gave up, some soft goals. The one that grinds me, there's a couple that grind me, but the one that's grinding me now is the center back's ball over top of the back four for the breakaway for Tommy, I think it was, that finished their third goal. That's just a ball gets played over top of us, and that one's disappointing. That's what I mean. There's just some individual moments, some individual boo-boos that guys didn't react properly that I think are extremely fixable. That's why I'm not so down on this result. I thought it was a pretty positive result, to be honest.
That's an interesting point too, Dale. And we were talking about it at the beginning of the show. That there are two ways to put this, right? I was saying, well, that's 6 draws for City in 9 games. They only had 5 all of last year in league play, and they find themselves right now. Obviously, it's still early, but they find themselves around the cut line for the playoffs. And if they're in a similar position, or even if they're just grappling for seeding down the stretch, they could look back and say, drop 2 points here, drop 2 points there. Could have made a big difference, especially with how congested the table is right now. At the same time, Jen made this point, and you're sort of making it there. The other way to look at it is it's a point saved here and there when maybe they could have gotten nothing. On the whole of these 6 draws out of their first 9 games, do you look at it more as 6 points saved or 12 points dropped?
I think I look at them individually. I think there's some games there that, like for instance, the Dallas game, a 0-0 tie at home. I think we can all be frustrated with that. I think that's one where we should feel like we should have 3 points coming out of that. Sporting Kansas City game, I'll take the point. So yeah. It's a bit of a mix. It's in between. My reason for optimism are the way that we gave up the 3 goals. The first goal being the Tim Parker injury, the subsequent restart that he's involved in with the restart. To me, that just doesn't make any sense. Tim got knocked silly, and for him to get knocked silly, it's a pretty hard hit. And we saw him land, and it was hard. The ball should get as far away from him as possible, and we didn't get it there. And we give up the counterattack after the giveaway, and a good goal. The second goal was the own goal from the end line that Shalloway hits, and it deflects, and we don't see that happen very often with Roman. And the third goal is the one we just spoke about, where our back four line wasn't organized and we kept players on side, and just an easy ball from a center back that passing is the weak part of his game, finds a guy for a breakaway on a direct pass. So those are three moments that I think are extremely fixable, that are rare, and it's just a matter of conversation. It's not even a matter of training to right those wrongs. That's where my optimism comes in from the draw.
Well, Dale, we appreciate your time as always. We look forward. Well, first of all, enjoy the weekend off to the extent that you ever get any time off. But the weekend with no broadcast, we'll chat next week, and we'll hear you back on the first Saturday in May for that game in Houston.
I'm looking forward to it.
Dale Shelley with us on the St. Louis City Soccer Report. You can hear him again on our sister station, Y98 for City's next game when they visit the Houston Dynamo, 7:30 Central Time kickoff. Jen will have the pregame 7 o'clock Central a week from Saturday, 9 days from tonight. We'll take a break. When we return, Andrew Wiebe of Apple TV will be with us. We'll be talking about that Klaus non-foul. Was it a foul? Depends who you ask. St. Louis City Soccer Report continues next on KMOX.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX. In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
3 little words no parent wants to hear.
My tummy hurts.
And it always seems to happen at the worst times. Like in the middle of the morning rush, when you still have homework to check and lunches to pack, and of course, you're already late for work. Luckily, there's Pepto Kids. Pepto Kids gummies help relieve occasional stomach upsets, turning those 3 words into these 3 words.
I feel better.
Bad time for stomach upsets? Good time for Pepto Kids gummies. Fast support for little tummies.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent anything.
Whether you're looking to fill low spots in your lawn, backfill that new retaining wall, or mulch your trees and flower beds, St. Louis Composting has the compost, soil, or mulch you need to help your plants and garden look its very best. Visit our website, stlcompost.com, for more information.
Wait a second. Think twice before signing that petition. That innocent petition is not a replacement for Roe versus Wade. We're talking late term and partial birth, long after the baby can feel pain. But that's not all. Signing that petition obliterates parental rights. Worse, it strips away malpractice protections for prenatal care, childbirth, miscarriage care, and all other reproductive health care. So if you or your loved one is hurt while accessing reproductive care, you forfeit your rights to sue. So think twice before signing that petition and support our work at Coalition Life. Coalition Life is on a mission. We're dedicated to helping women faced with untimely pregnancies, providing them with compassionate alternatives that empower them with choices that protect and uphold their rights. Visit coalitionlife.com to learn more, because every life deserves a chance. Paid for by Coalition Life.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. If your bath or shower is old or outdated, it is time to call the Bath Authority. The Bath Authority provides the highest quality bathroom remodeling products along with a world-class customer experience. All Bath Authority products can be installed in as little as 1 day by certified factory technicians. 314-347-0410. Get $1,000 off a new shower or bath plus 36 months interest-free financing. TheBathAuthority.com. A better bath awaits.
If you're thinking about doing a little home improvement, especially one that you don't have to do the installation, think about getting a Beam central vacuum system. It's the kind of home upgrade that really checks all the boxes, because when you compare and evaluate, a Beam system makes so much sense. There's a reason why nearly every high-end home in St. Louis is built with a Beam. A Beam vacuum system is very smart because it adds value to your home. Beam whole house vacuum system starts at just $11.99, including installation. And it's an investment, not just in your home, but in a healthy lifestyle. Every time you vacuum, you'll save time because a Beam is more efficient and 5 times stronger, so you'll clean better in less time. And since you're getting all the deep down dirt and grit, vacuuming with a Beam will keep your rugs and carpets looking brand new for many years to come. So you get value from your Beam system every day. Call Beam of St. Louis today. 314-567-1515 or online at beamstl.com.
Beam's home sale is starting early. Every system for every size home now on sale.
Navien tankless water heaters, the proven leader in condensing technology. Request a Navien because you deserve the best in endless hot water delivery. Learn about Navien's condensing tankless water heaters and find a Navien contractor at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Some people bring joy wherever they go, some whenever they go. Mark Twain found humor all around. Never argue with a fool. Onlookers may not be able to tell the difference. Humor. Pass it on from passiton.com.
Tune in to the Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Mosby Building Arts, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX for expert advice on remodeling, design, and construction. This live Q&A show begins at 11 a.m. or find podcasts at mosbybuildingarts.com.
The Y98 St. Louis City Soccer Report continues on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Welcome back on the St. Louis City Soccer Report. Jen Siess joining you with Nate Gatter, who is fired up about the...
That might be a strong characterization.
Fired up.
I just have opinions.
You do realize you're also on camera. So.
I just have opinions. I wouldn't say I'm fired up.
You said it's a foul.
I do think it's a foul.
Okay, I'm just saying.
So to be clear, we're talking about Klaus's potential foul that wasn't given against Anagata in the build up to that.
Or it
City
wasn't,
goal.
and Agata should have shoulder checked.
Right, and that's the question. And nobody perhaps better qualified to discuss it than our next two guests from different angles. Right, George Gansler will be with us at the end of the hour,
right,
to talk about it from a refereeing standpoint. But Andrew Wiebe of Apple TV is with us now, and Andrew was basically right out there on the field with him because they in the post game went through and reenacted it.
Oh my God! I can't
Andrew,
believe
do
they
you feel
did
like
that.
you had a pitch side view of that play now?
I was right there, guys. I mean, I felt the impact within about 2 or 3 feet. My call on the studio floor, let's say, was no foul. I didn't think Kevin Egan really put his body into it. He knew the challenge was coming. He just sort of shirked the contact, and off he went out of camera. So no foul for me on that one, but I'm sure we can debate the Klaus one.
Yeah, I didn't even see you go to the back pocket. I thought there's no way he's calling anything on that.
Oh, no back pocket, no nothing. Not even a thing. I didn't even consider blowing the whistle for a second. Come on, guys, keep it rolling.
Now that you've seen the play, I mean, I'm sure at least a dozen or a couple dozen times replayed. Do you think foul or not, and why?
That's not a foul for me. I know it's borderline. I understand how your perspective and certainly your loyalties could sort of shape where you might fall on this one, but. 3 considerations for me is the ball in playing distance. I think it's right there. For me, Agata takes a long touch, and I think he glances up and sees Klaus start his run toward him, knows he's coming. That's where the long touch comes from. So I think the ball is there to be played. Is it shoulder to shoulder? Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's as clean a shoulder to shoulder challenge as you can have. Now, the last one where we start the debate is the degree of force. Is this too much force? Is it reckless? Perhaps. It's not a yellow card challenge for me, but does Klaus go out of his way, and is there too much force delivered in that moment? For me, no. I think it's more Agata not really responding to the level of force, the level of intensity that St. Louis had brought, and certainly Klaus did in that moment. To me, Agata sort of shirks out of the moment, and instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to try to match this, he kind of lets himself get knocked over, and I think his reaction says a lot. There's not yelling at the referee. There's not gesticulation. He just sort of stands up, throws his hand in the air, and walks away. So for me, it's not a foul. And I also think you got to look at how the game was refereed. That first goal, Durkin goes shoulder to shoulder, no call. At that point on, the way St. Louis plays, if you're Kansas City, you can't go into any challenge thinking they're going to be anything but 100%, and you can't assume the referee's going to bail you out. So for me, in this situation, I got no foul play on.
I'm with Andrew. So besides that part of the call, the part I think I loved, Andrew, the most about that play is Klaus continuing. It was like a last second thought that he thought to overlap Celio Pompeu, and I thought it opened up just a half second of space that Celio needed to have a really awesome clean shot on goal. And with Samuel Adeniran coming back to training this week, it just kind of highlighted some differences between those two forwards for me. One, Samuel Adeniran, I think in that moment probably doesn't do an overlap. That's not the kind of striker he is. Klaus is a combination striker play. Samuel is a stretch it over long distance, eat up the field with my speed kind of player. And wanted to get your thoughts on, one, the play, and two, Samuel Adeniran back in the training mix.
Yeah, it's a great play. And I mean, I think these are the things that Brett Carnell likes about Jacques Klaus. If he would have been healthier all year, you would have seen a different stat line for him. And I think maybe a different rhythm coming to the playoffs.
he's a little bit more, he wants to move off the ball a little bit. And Adeniran is so direct and so strong and so powerful in his shot that I get it. If I was him and I have an opportunity to go to goal, I'm freaking going. Like, I'm not waiting around. I'm not letting the defense get set. I'm going for it. So in that moment, yes, it's the Klaus run, but come on, it is the skill. It's the ability cutting inside by Pompeu, who is quickly becoming one of those players that if you're not a national fan, if MLS isn't your thing and you're not just avidly devouring every piece of content out there like I am, you probably miss this guy. But the level of skill that he's now shown pretty consistently in the 2024 season is just so critical for this City team. And as we talk about the striker options, I just keep coming back to one thing from last year, and that's Nico Gioacchini. Like, imagine all the moments that he changed, the profile that he had, the way he likes to run in the channel a little bit more, the way he can sort of get in that channel and then go out to the wing and play provider as well. That speed option, I think, is still something that St. Louis is missing in their arsenal, and I wonder if they'll address it in this summer window. But look, Klaus is a wonderful player. So is Adeniran. I was a little bit worried that maybe Carnell would lose him, and I guess we'll see. But look, if Wilfred Nancy can get Cucho back in the mix so quickly and have him motivated, I got to believe Bradley Carnell believes he can do the same.
Andrew Wiebe of MLS on Apple TV is with us. You see him hosting and analyzing all over Apple TV and MLS content. That it's a good point that both you and Jen raise about how the play went from there. It's one of the reasons I think, as much fun as it is, and I enjoy sort of breaking down what elements of this play are we looking at when we decided is it a foul or not. Ultimately, Pompeu beats Melia from 20, 22 yards out with a curler. It's not as though they knocked down the last defender and jogged in on goal and scored. Right. This was still a pretty impressive finish that KC were still in position to deal with had it not been hit so well. So maybe that also helps to kind of take the referee out of the spotlight a little bit. Where do you think already, even though it's still in its relative infancy, this City and KC rivalry stacks up with the other derbies in MLS?
Well, I'm a Kansas guy, Wichita, Kansas, born and bred, and then Kansas City for a number of years. That's where all my family is. It's sort of where we call home as the Wiebe clan, you might say. I think this is popping, guys. Like, I think this is up there in the top three right now in terms of intensity, in terms of the occasion, and in terms of what it means to both teams. And that's ultimately what's going to make a rivalry really jump. Yeah, I mean, look, it comes down to the fans, and fans can drive it, but you need a compelling happenstance on the field to really get you going. You need teams that are competitive, that are good, that think the other teams stand in their way of accomplishing something, and that has been the case every single time these teams have met. There's been drama, there have been goals, there's been pushing and shoving. This latest iteration with the shoulder barge, is it a foul, is it not a foul? That's just more fuel on the fire. So, my job is to sort of sit back at 30,000 feet and say, hey, this is the most compelling thing going down in MLS right now. And right now, the Derby Q, if that's what, I don't know if we've agreed on that in St. Louis, but it seems like a lot of people are calling it that it is absolutely one of the top three rivalries in MLS.
That was going to be my next question. I saw that name going around, according also the I-70 Classico. Did you have a favorite?
I like the I-70 shout because I just think it's so fitting given the way people go back and forth, and not just for, this particular rivalry, but
no, I drove to my kids' games that weekend. My son played. Yeah.
Yeah. Even just like youth soccer growing up, stuff like that. And of course, baseball over the years. So I like the I-70 shout. I think it gets to be a little bit of a, it's a little bit wordy, a little bit mealy in the mouth. The Derby Q comes out really nicely, but it's a little bit, it's a little corny as well. So, I think the beauty is that you give this a couple of years, you give people a chance to sort of have trial and error with it, and something is going to stick. And what we can all be thankful for is that this rivalry that I know the folks in Kansas City have been waiting for, one that's visceral, one that's real, and certainly that everyone in St. Louis seems to have embraced off the jump, is here to stay. Like, we're just 5-6 meetings through what is going to be something that's decades long, maybe a century or more, depending on how this world shapes up over many, many years from now. So I'm just super happy that it's here. And as a proud Midwesterner, I'm all about it.
Andrew Wiebe is with us on the St. Louis City Soccer Report. You can follow him on Twitter at Andrew_Wiebe, W-I-E-B-E. Andrew, one more quick one before we let you go. You mentioned that for people, first of all, I think it's a good point, and I agree with you about where the derby is, and you mentioned the drivability. Obviously, that's nothing can be done about it, but MLS has the disadvantage to some degree of having such a wide geographic area for its league that it can be harder to have those really popping away fan sections. But certainly when City visit KC, that's the case. And although they're smaller in number, the Kansas Cityans represent when they come to St. Louis as well. Outside of that, and even outside of St. Louis City, you mentioned, how you are in that group of a relatively small but growing group of people who ardently and just eat up everything they can find MLS-wise. What do you think is the most interesting storyline in the league right now that not a lot of people are talking about?
Okay, not a lot of people are talking about. So you took Messi straight off of my my options.
No, we do Messi every week.
Let's just make that really clear. It's Messi and Inter Miami. That is the biggest story in Major League Soccer right now. I think one under the radar that you might not be catching if you're not into CONCACAF and CONCA champions, the champions here in this region. The Columbus Crew have gone from MLS Cup winners to perhaps regional winners, and only one MLS team has ever done that. And not only are they doing it, they're playing soccer in a way that I think any of us, whether we love the crash bang of Bradley Carnell and City, or we're like a Barca fan from way back, can respect. This team uses the ball. They're so tactically and technically sound. It's a team that hasn't gone out and bought just big players, though they have those. Nancy has developed players from the second team and MLS Next Pro, draft picks, all throughout the roster. There is progress, and there are people performing at their absolute best level. And as somebody who loves sports and who loves soccer and also just loves the idea of self-improvement, this entire project is so admirable. And just one that if you're a soccer fan, even just a little bit, I dare you to watch 10 minutes of a Crew game and not come away with that being inspired. So for me, it's not under the radar. They are the reigning champions, but I bet most of your listeners don't know that much about CONCACAF Champions League or Champions Cup now. And I would go watch that second leg against Monterrey next week. Crew have a 2-1 lead. And if they win or if they get a result, they're moving on to the final.
That's excellent. We appreciate your time, Andrew, as always, and hopefully we'll have you back on again later on in the season.
Yeah, shout out to the second place Royals. What place are the Cardinals in St. Louis?
Wow.
Get it in. Every time.
We got to have him on more.
This is the problem, Siess. You can't have a Jayhawk on the airwaves and expect them to behave themselves. They just don't know how to act.
This from a Mizzou guy.
This is the problem. Andrew, we appreciate you, and we will talk to you again shortly. That's Andrew Wiebe with us here on the St. Louis City Soccer Report, a Kansas Cityan indeed. And to be fair to him,
he stole a moment.
The Royals are playing some good and exciting baseball. I think there's probably more energy around the Royals now than there has been in nearly a decade. Certainly since 17-ish when that World Series team started to break up. So fair play to him. Early though, still April, so it is bold on April 25th to be talking a lot of stuff on the radio.
You're talking about the end of an MLS season that's early. Oh, their city's sitting on what line? What line? The lines don't matter right now. Playoff line. It's too early.
Okay, well, all right. We got to take a break because we squeeze George every week. But what I will say is that the games right now count just the same as games in September, October. Don't whine to me then if they end up a couple of points out of where they should be. St. Louis City Soccer Report on KMOX.
When our truck stops in front of your home,
you'll know it's there.
Because you'll feel magic in the air.
You'll see the magic with your eyes.
When that junk disappears,
and you'll feel the fresh air freedom
throughout your body.
When that dull junk is gone, all your cool stuff will sparkle.
You'll smile.
You'll dance.
You'll call your friends.
Because you'll want them to see it and feel it too.
When you're ready to unleash the delight,
call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com. KMOX Day at Busch Stadium is Wednesday, May 8th, when the Cardinals host the New York Mets. Purchase a special theme ticket and take home an exclusive KMOX Cardinals bobblehead featuring John Rooney and Ricky Horton. Oh, and fans who purchase a VIP ticket will receive the bobblehead and also have access to an exclusive pregame meet and greet with John and Ricky. KMOX Day tickets are limited and available right now at cardinals.com/theme.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire the largest injury firm in the world for your injury case? Let me count the ways. Your case will be handled by your lawyer, a paralegal, and a case manager who's always in the office for you when your lawyer's in court. There's also a 24-hour hotline if you ever have a question or a problem. We've collected over $20 billion and won a lot. Injured? The choice is easy. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Join host Steve All Saturday mornings at 10 right here on KMOX.
At Neovitin, we are all about supporting your nutrition, and that's why we are excited about our new Neovitin Omega-3 supplement. Neovitin Omega-3 is formulated with 1,200 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids to help support healthy hearts. Our high-quality omega-3 fish oils are sourced from wild-caught fish and tested for heavy metals. With our convenient monthly subscription, you can get Neovitin Omega-3 delivered right to your door every month with no long-term obligations. Support your daily nutrition and sign up for a Neovitin Omega-3 subscription at neovitin.com today.
When you ask people here what's the one thing that makes Diamonds Direct their favorite jeweler, for some, it's the unbeatable pricing we get through our direct importer. No middleman connections. The foundation of our business since day one. For others, it's the uncompromising quality. From hand-selected diamonds to handcrafted designer rings. Only the best of the best. Some people put selection at the top of their list, as Diamonds Direct offers up to 30 times the options you expect from a typical jewelry retailer. For some, it's our luxurious showroom with diamond experts who genuinely care about your experience and happiness, and who are empowered to do whatever it takes for you. Others rave about Diamonds Direct's unmatched warranties and guarantees that include free service for life and an extraordinary 110% diamond upgrade promise. But you know the most often answer we get when asking what makes Diamonds Direct stand out? It's not one thing, it's everything. Diamonds Direct. Value, luxury, choices, and confidence. Get directions, hours, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
The Y98 St. Louis City Soccer Report continues on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
We're back. We're still not done with hour number one of St. Louis City Soccer Report. Jen Siess, Nate Gatter.
It does feel like it's been a long night already.
And somebody else.
George Ganser is with us now.
Now, laws of the game.
We could probably get rid of that. We could just say George Gansner. Then Dale Schilling needs an intro.
If we lost, no.
He's a regular.
If we lost George, nobody would listen to the show anymore.
Stop. Okay.
It's the only reason.
Fine, I'm going back.
Yeah, you go. George Ganser is with us, former MLS and FIFA assistant referee, and his job is going to be to talk to us about this 3-3 draw between City and
Nate's already made
KC.
the call that it was a foul and a Gatter.
No, so this is why I didn't want to push back too much on Dale, or especially on Andrew, because, we want to put on a good show when we have, like, it's like when you clean the house for people who don't come over that often. But George's family, right? He's seen the messy house. So
he makes the messy house.
Right. He comes on every week, so I don't need to clean up for him. So I'm going to tell him, I know that he refereed for a long time. I know that he has, the equivalent of an advanced degree in refereeing. I watched that play, George, and I see a foul that's given the vast majority of the time. Now, Dale and Andrew have both raised good points, which is that the game was officiated in sort of a hands-off manner, and a lot of physical play was allowed. But I see Klaus at least initiating contact with his shoulder, not necessarily lowering it, and doing it at high speed, not in the same direction as the ball, and then having to change direction after contact to then go pursue the ball. And it feels more to me like a shoulder check than just sort of the typical shoulder-to-shoulder jostling that we would imagine in soccer.
Well, I love that opinion, Nate. So, however, let's talk about the technical pieces of the law. Okay, so
Andrew both Dale and Andrew did a really good job from a layman's point of view, right? But let's talk about the technical pieces. So the three things that you need to have for a decision when it comes to a shoulder charge, and again, there was one earlier in the match with Chris Durkin that was actually textbook. But you have the main three things, right? Is it shoulder to shoulder? And by the way, the shoulder constitutes the shoulder blade in the back too. So you can't hit somebody in the middle of the back. That's not a shoulder charge. But if you hit them on the side of their shoulder, basically the shoulder blade, that is considered part of the shoulder. That's not what happened here. This is very clear shoulder to shoulder, as we would say, side to side, right? So that's number one. Was that the case? Yes, it was. So check. Number two, the ball has to be within playing distance when you do it. And so even though I think Andrew said that in his opinion, Agata took a bit of a long touch, the ball's still within playing distance. So I think it looks maybe like it might not. I think there could be some argument there that maybe it's not, but I think that looks that way simply because of the direction of the ball and the direction of the shoulder charge are two different things. So maybe
right, that's a good point. At the moment of contact, the ball is clearly, not more than a yard or two away from them. Exactly. It sort of continues to run away from them, which maybe comes to my point. But no, I think you're right that at the moment of contact, it does have to be considered within playing distance.
Exactly right. So, and then the third point is it careless, reckless, or with excessive force? It's really not careless in any way, shape, or form. It's very clear that he was shouldering him. It's not reckless because it's a clear tackle. I mean, I think Taylor Twellman said on the broadcast that he ran 13 yards before he hit him. He ran 13 yards, but only 4 or 5 of it was really by the time Agata had the ball. So he's not really targeting. So it's not careless and it's not reckless, and it's really not excessive force. I mean, you can really argue that Agata didn't stand up for the tackle the way he should have. He just took the worst of it. And so I've seen some memes out there of him being sent all the way back to the weight room. That's pretty funny. But at the end of the day, that tackle meets the technical criteria of what is a fair shoulder charge. To your point earlier, Nate, that is there are decisions made in different games that may have been a foul. Okay. I don't think so in this particular case. I do think it does get called once in a while. I do think most of the time after something like that does get called, the referees are like, that was a fair tackle. I shouldn't have called it. But this is a case where it's very clear. I think Alvin Chapman was put on that game intentionally because he allows things and he can manage things to kind of get a little bit, stronger or a bit more chippy without the game going haywire. And this is the kind of thing that makes that game fun to watch and not somebody blowing the whistle all the time. So
that's a really good point too. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, it's a fair tackle, and it fits within the context of the game, right? I'll go a little bit of a different angle here quickly. There are different games where, the referee didn't allow as much at the beginning. There's tackles that come through, and people aren't accepting it. So you start blowing the whistle to bring it in. This is a game where the players are accepting those types of tackles. They're accepting the hard hits. They did it last year too. They understand it. They're actually having fun, believe it or not, both sides. And at the end of the day, it meets the criteria of the law, and that's what matters.
With about a minute left, George, I wanted to check with you on the late to be put into place MLS rules, the refereeing kind of rules or the rules that were going to be followed in terms of substitutions, those kinds of things. How did it go? It seems like an awful lot for the fourth official to deal with. And how do you think it went overall in that game? And then if you got a chance to look at it around the league.
Yeah, I'll tell you, most of the games, I think our first half had one of the longest added times in the entire league over the weekend, and that was 7 minutes. I don't know how they got to that, but they did. The second half was 3 minutes in Kansas City, totally reasonable. And you could see players, including Tim Parker, some of the other players, they were down, they got hit, and they got up, and they went on with it. And it actually ended up costing St. Louis a goal because he's the one that played the ball. But at the end of the day, I think it speeded up play. We didn't have nearly as much added time for all of those things that could have happened.
George, we appreciate you as always, the big picture and the small, and we'll chat. Well, I guess next week might not be that much to chat about. You're going to have to keep your eye on the headlines and get us something because we won't have a City game between now and next Thursday night.
Yeah, sounds good. Pick a game. Let's talk about it.
George Ganser, former MLS FIFA and FIFA assistant referee, with us here on the St. Louis City Soccer Report. We got just a few seconds left, Jen, here before we send it to the news. We still have a second hour to come. Let's give people a little sneak preview of what we have coming up over the second half of the show.
Yeah, recorded interview this morning with Josh McPherson, director of Stadium Grounds at City Park. He's been busy. He wasn't sure if he was going to be available tonight for maybe working overnight or getting up early in the morning to finish the residing of City Park, along with our favorite, Mr. Soccer, Bill McDermott.
Bill will be here. And if you hadn't heard, and I think everybody has been talking about it, but if you hadn't heard, City Park has been resodded since the City 2 game, which was officially the last one to play there. And City will play for the first time on the new sod against LAFC on May the 15th. News is coming up next. We'll have some sod conversation coming up on the other side. It's the St. Louis City Soccer Report on the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Jules on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jules on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jules on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jules on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. Jules on Hampton.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Get some reusable bags for the grocery store and recycle paper, bottles, and cans to make every day Earth Day. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Cardinal Cowboy here for Renner Garage Door. Are you tired of your outdated garage door? Well, we does that. Top-notch service or repair? We does that too. Renner's the leader when it comes to new garage doors and smart LiftMaster openers. Serving greater St. Louis and surrounding areas since 1966. You know the name forward and back. RENNER. Whether it's residential, commercial, or repair, Renner does that. Call or click today. RennerDoorSTL.com. The garage door company that does. Giddy up!
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
You entrusted a nursing home with the care of a loved one, but they violated that trust. If your family member has been the victim of nursing home neglect, call Onder Law at 844-BED-SORE.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. After oral arguments, the U.S. Supreme Court now considers the issue of absolute presidential immunity involving former President Donald Trump's alleged efforts to subvert the results of the 2020 election. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson's take.
Even if it's not all official acts, maybe it's just that there's immunity from criminal prosecution if a congressional statute doesn't specifically say, and this includes the president. All of which is to say, I heard all of the justices trying to figure out, where do we draw the line?
Developments in Trump's New York criminal trial alleging the falsifying of business documents in connection with so-called hush money payments. CBS's Errol Barnett on testimony by former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker about former Playboy model Karen McDougal.
Pecker testified that Cohen said, quote, the boss will take care of it as it relates to the payment. And that directly implicates Donald Trump.
Prosecutors in New York are setting the groundwork for a retrial. CBS's Jerika Duncan says a New York appeals court has overturned Harvey Weinstein's rape conviction on the grounds he did not receive a fair trial.
CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman.
He would get a more fair trial, according to the Court of Appeals, because these other prior bad act witnesses will be excluded.
The decision comes more than 4 years after the 72-year-old was found guilty and sentenced to 23 years in prison for sexually assaulting 2 women.
Pro-Palestinian protests fire up at more schools like Atlanta's Emory University. The protests have prompted the University of Southern California to cancel its main stage graduation, citing safety concerns. At UCLA, alumna Kaya Shaw.
Our university, UCLA, is invested in corporations that are directly profiting off of the Israeli genocide of Palestinian people. And that is why we are here today.
An encampment has also popped up at Northwestern University near Chicago. Tennessee's Republican-controlled state house gives final approval on first-in-the-nation legislation criminalizing adults who help minors receive gender-affirming care without parental consent. Venice becomes the first city in the world to impose an entry fee for day visitors. CBS's Vicky Barker.
29 dates considered peak tourist congestion periods now attract a €5, roughly $5 fee to any tourist who's visiting Venice for the day only. This tourist thinks it might work.
I probably wouldn't come in on that day.
This one says it won't.
We'll just have to pay because we want to be here.
A sentiment echoed by many residents of Venice who say the fee is too low to discourage the mass tourism that's making their lives a misery.
This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 9:03, we have clouds and 59 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Maria Aquino. Our top local story: the prosecution has rested their case in the trial of the man whose attorney admits he killed a police officer.
The final witness called by prosecutors was one of the overnight guards who watched Thomas Kinworthy while he was in the hospital. Sergeant David Zwelling testified Kinworthy asked what happened the night he shot and killed Officer Tamaris Bohannon, and when being transported to jail, asked to see news coverage of the killing.
We were getting him ready to transport, and he asked what happened last night had made the news.
Did you respond to him?
I said, yeah.
And what did he respond?
He asked if he would be able to see the bed.
The defense began by calling a clinical psychiatrist who, after reviewing Kinworthy's medical records and interviewing him, diagnosed him with schizoaffective disorder. Sean Malone at KMOX News.
After years, a homeless couple from Sudan is no longer occupying the corner of Spring and Chippewa in South City with a makeshift tarp and shopping cart tent. A spokesperson for St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones confirms the city has cleared out the tent and the couple, citing that the tent had expanded further in recent weeks and was becoming a hazard to the community. The manager of Bertha Lee's Treasures, Lucille, says that the corner looks and smells much nicer.
Oh, it looks so clean and neat and breezy and clean. And also, I don't smell anything.
You can smell it?
Sometimes I used to smell something there once in a while when they were there, especially when the weather get very hot.
The owner of the home where the camp was set up outside of would not comment on the situation. They have recently sued the city and the homeless couple. A spokesperson for the city did not comment on that litigation, but did confirm that the homeless couple is receiving services and has a roof over their heads. Missouri's business community is firing back at federal regulators over a move to ban what are called non-compete clauses.
The Federal Trade Commission voted this week to ban contractual agreements that prevent workers from switching jobs or starting new businesses. Brendan Cosette, Chief Operating Officer for the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry, tells KMOX the ruling is unnecessary because the state already has guardrails in place.
Limit their scope, their breadth, their geographical range, the time. They have to be narrowly tailored to achieve the reasonable interest of the employer. And you can't just have a non-compete to keep somebody from working for a competitor.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce has already filed a lawsuit challenging the FTC ruling, alleging the agency overstepped its authority. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Our forecast overnight, we could see some showers and storms late after midnight, a low of 55 degrees for tomorrow. Periods of showers and storms, and they could be strong to severe, especially to the west of St. Louis. Afternoon high 75 degrees, storms overnight Friday. It does clear out late with a low of 65 degrees for Saturday. A slight chance of pop-up storms with a high of 82 degrees. But then Saturday night, scattered showers and storms with a low of 68. And then for Sunday, we have another chance of storms with the possibility of them becoming severe, highs of 80 degrees. Right now, it's 56 in St. Peter's, 59 in Florissant, and downtown at the Arch, it's 59 degrees. I'm Maria Kina, KMOX News.
Y98 presents the St. Louis City Soccer Report on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
A whole hour still to go. Nate Gatter, Jen Siess with you on this Thursday evening on KMOX. We've already heard from Dale Schilly tonight. We've heard from Andrew Wiebe. We've heard from George Gansner. Josh McPherson of the St. Louis City Grounds crew is still to come. A recorded conversation he did with Jen will be coming up in our next segment. And at the bottom of this hour, we'll talk to Mr. Soccer, Bill McDermott, about who knows. I mean, we might have an agenda, but Bill usually talks about what he wants to talk about. So we will find out.
He knows more than we do.
Right. He knows what to talk about. So he will produce that segment himself, and we'll see what happens when we get there. Before we go on to anything else, Jen, let's sort of take stock of where we are, right? 9 games in out of 34. So just past 20% of the season played at this point, or just past 25%. I don't know. We're around a quarter of the way into the season. And on the one hand, yes, still early. On the other hand, to my sort of half-baked point going into the break after we talked to Andrew Wiebe, the games all count the same, whether it's the first game of the season or the last. 3 points, still 3 points. No points, still no points. And it still adds up in your tally all the same when we get to the end of the year. Where do you feel like City have, to this point, exceeded your expectations, met your expectations, or fallen short of your expectations based on where they were, say, on the day of the opener?
Of this year opener? Yeah.
Yeah, no credit for last year.
Yeah, so because I was going to say to try and do last year, just I like that they're struggling now. I that they have had struggle now and not later. And so I go back to a conversation. It was like February 15th. All the guys were down in the Minetta Pitch Club. We got to talk to as many as we could get our microphones in front of. And I talked with Edward Leuven, who at the time we didn't know was going to be out for a while. And one of the things he talked about was, kind of in hindsight, him not understanding the MLS, having a better feel for it now, managing himself and his expectations. Also, kind of wondering if they hadn't come in top of the conference, if they had come in with the way SKC came in, frankly, peaking at the right time when they had to come and deal with some of that. And it's not that City last year didn't have struggle. They did. Klaus was out for a while, but I think their momentum kind of found its peak and then it started to die off. Whereas other teams found their momentum going into the playoffs. So this makes me excited, wondering if they can work. And I don't know what's going to happen with Samuel and all that kind of stuff, but we don't know what's going to happen with transfer windows. But that if the team keeps working the way they are, momentum could peak at the right time and maybe find themselves further in playoffs and further in than they got last year. So I'm kind of excited about that.
If you were Bradley Carnell, what would be your biggest point of emphasis for what I think is going to be a really important May, with the games getting significantly more congested as well as we start to get into the middle part of the season where these midweek games come up as well?
I think it's next man up. It is. So if coach, right, everything he has stood for from day one and what he will take over and over, it doesn't matter how good Thomas Totland plays on the day or Celio Pompeo's goal. And he's happy about all that stuff, but he goes back and really, by the way, I just want to point out the fact that he talked about it a lot in these last few weeks with Samuel being out, but talked a lot about how team is better, team is greater than I, that this is really important. And the next person to step into the job and everybody who works really hard gets a stab at it. And so he believes in all of his roster, from those appearing at the very first few minutes to those subbing in on, and maybe those not even getting in on a particular game day. So I think that will be what, if I know Coach Carnell by now, I would expect to hear those words a lot in May.
Well, we will find out. City off this weekend, and they will be back at it in Houston on May the 4th. That's 9 days from tonight. We will have Joey Zanaboni and Dale Schilly there for you. Jen Siess will, of course, be doing the pre and post game on our sister station, Y98. City, I said before the first game on the new pitch, which we're going to talk about in the next segment, would be against LAFC May 15th. That was just totally wrong. It'll be the following weekend, of course, when they host Chicago. So the new pitch will get tested right away because they'll play Saturday the 11th, and then they'll play again the following Wednesday the 15th. Those games against Chicago and LAFC, the next two games at City Park. Speaking of that, new sod coming in, and we will hear from Josh McPherson of the City Grounds crew, who talked with Jen this week about that process and everything that goes into it. The City 2 game last weekend, the final game played on the inaugural City Park pitch, and what an inauguration it was.
And then a bunch of people got to play games on it, and puppies went, and they just, used the pitch up.
No rules. Although I heard, and I'm sure they could make a lot of money if they could, like cut it up into small pieces and like auction it off to people and like have a little, 1 foot by 1 foot square of the, especially the inaugural City Park turf, right? People would frame that and put it in their house.
That's a good point. It's
not available. Tom Timmerman said, I saw him say on Twitter, he comes on the show from time to time, the city beat writer for the Post-Dispatch, that it's proprietary technology of some kind, how the turf. And so it has to all be composted.
It's going to St. Louis composting. That's right. 100 sustainability, baby.
I guess. Yeah. You know what else is sustainable? Getting some cash.
You want some sod?
Yeah. I think people would pay for it. You don't think so?
I don't know. I can't even get my 17-year-old to mow the lawn.
Busch Stadium has a problem.
Finding some sod.
Busch Stadium has this problem that like people come down on the field for batting practice before the game, like the VIPs who at any given game, a
they
couple
steal
hundred
grass?
people. No, not grass, but they'll just like scoop up some of the dirt and stuff, like from the warning track or whatever.
Oh.
People have like when an old Yankee Stadium got torn down, they sold like little containers of the infield dirt. People pay good money for that.
That's lawyer bills talking to you, my friend.
No, I think that's business. That's just entrepreneurship.
I'm thinking of, I don't want dirt in my house. Get that out.
It's in a container.
It's dirt.
Okay.
I mean, it's cool, but it's grass and dirt.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about grass and dirt after this. Jen's conversation.
I mean, it was
with
really exciting.
Josh McPherson of
awesome.
the City Grounds crew is coming up next on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at ThrottleNet. So I'm so very proud to have represented the guys at ThrottleNet for all of these years. They are the IT geniuses. George and Mike are the owners. Fantastic guys. They can do all of your IT. They can do a portion of your IT. They have the best Apple support team. Their response time is under 2 minutes. Think about that, under 2 minutes. Something goes sideways with your IT, and they are solving your problem. And they're solving your problem within 2 minutes. Now, let's talk about cybersecurity. Most companies in St. Louis don't have cyber liability insurance. You get hit, you're on the hook, you're probably out of business. With ThrottleNet, if we represent you, we protect you. The first $500,000 that someone hits you for, which isn't going to happen, but if it does, we pay it. $500,000. That's what you're covered for with ThrottleNet. Go to throttlenet.com/DGS for all the information. Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $129. Take $50 off your air duct cleaning. Visit ZeroResSTL.com and book your appointment today.
It's Tom Ackerman. I've been talking about it for years because we've been enjoying it for years, and that is Innsbruck. Innsbruck Resort, Innsbruck-resort.com. What a place. And the home values have increased 105% in the last 5 years, so it's a great return on investment. The new Sonnenhaus houses are available this year. The modern exterior of a treehouse with cozy interior elements of a cottage. Innsbruck-resort.com.
Our goal at Neovitin is to make supporting your nutrition as easy as possible. That's why we created the Neovitin monthly subscription. Just go to neovitin.com, choose your multivitamin, sign up, and we will do the rest. You'll receive your Neovitin multivitamin every month with no long-term obligation. You can pause or cancel at any time, and shipping is free. Each Neovitin multivitamin includes our physician-formulated proprietary blend for nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Start supporting your nutrition the easy way with Neovitin multivitamins. Sign up for a Neovitin subscription today at neovitin.com.
When you ask people here, what's the one thing that makes Diamonds Direct their favorite jeweler? For some, it's the unbeatable pricing we get through our direct importer. No middleman connections. The foundation of our business since day one. For others, it's the uncompromising quality. From hand-selected diamonds to handcrafted designer rings. Only the best of the best. Some people put selection at the top of their list, as Diamonds Direct offers up to 30 times the options you expect from a typical jewelry retailer. For some, it's our luxurious showroom with diamond experts who genuinely care about your experience and happiness, and who are empowered to do whatever it takes for you. Others rave about Diamonds Direct's unmatched warranties and guarantees that include free service for life and an extraordinary 110% diamond upgrade promise. But you know the most often answer we get when asking what makes Diamonds Direct stand out? It's not one thing. It's everything. Diamonds Direct. Value, luxury, choices, and confidence. Get directions, hours, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-514-1020. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-514-1026 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-514-1026 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-514-1026.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. Switch to eco-friendly cleaning products and spend more time outside to make every day Earth Day. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
The Y98 St. Louis City Soccer Report continues on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Maybe you heard us talking about it before the break. Nate Gatter, Jen Siess back with you in hour 2 of the St. Louis City Soccer Report. But St. Louis City, and I guess technically it was St. Louis City 2, played the last game on the inaugural turf at City Park in downtown West over the weekend. The turf was exhumed, I guess you would say. I don't know what you would call it. It was ripped up and will be composted, new turf coming in. And City will play on the new turf in just a little more than 2 weeks' time, May the 11th against Chicago, 2 games from now, and then the following Wednesday, the 15th, against LAFC. And our own Jen Siess, who is never afraid to get down and dirty, had the conversation with Josh McPherson of the City Grounds crew.
It's Thursday. I'm standing here and all of the sod for the most part has been pulled up.
Today is sod day, so it's a great day to be a groundskeeper.
This started on, you said Monday.
Yep.
And it's completed by when?
We're hoping to be done by about 2:00 tomorrow. We have 19 semi-trucks of sod we're going to unload. And yeah, we're in the process right now. 5 days, that's a nice pace where we can do a good job. We're not rushing. And then that gives us 2 weeks to make it a soccer pitch.
Then when the guys come and play their first game, and will they come train on that before?
As long as the growing is going correctly, we get them out here one time to use it before the match.
Will they be able to notice a difference from what they just came off of?
Seeing where they're playing, like they're going to Houston, so that'll be an all warm season grass. Why it may seem different than the last time they played played here, based on where they're going to be going and playing matches in between, might be a better transition that way.
Is it Kentucky bluegrass that's going down?
It's Northbridge Bermuda grass. Here in the transition zone where we kind of have really hot in the summer, really cold in the winter, we kind of have to have a 2-grass system. With the length of the MLS season, it doesn't allow us to just keep one grass. So we're going in with 100% Bermuda grass right now. And then in the fall, when it starts getting cold, when Bermuda grass normally goes brown and dormant, we'll overseed with a perennial ryegrass. And so right now in the training pitches, they're overseeded with the perennial ryegrass. The stadium pitch up until we ripped it out was almost all the green you saw was almost all perennial ryegrass.
Wow. So it really becomes then more managing, like you said, with the climate. And I think it took a few people by surprise, like, wow, we're resodding and we're not even quite halfway through the season yet.
The MLS season is challenging where, in Europe, they get that kind of summer window to redo all the pitches. We really don't have that. The off season is not when we want to grow grass. When we saw we had this 3-week gap, we're like, oh, this is going to be a great time to do this renovation. With this sod on plastic, this thicker sod that's made to be played on right away, it kind of really came out as an American football idea, something that could allow them to have the footing for the offensive lineman day one. With that comes an extra maturity that within a couple years, you kind of build up and you start having issues with the pitch.
Golf, the greens are pristine in golf. Is a soccer pitch similar? Is it different? Is it easier, harder to care for?
I've always maintained my soccer pitches like I think it's a golf green. The big thing in golf is you want to control that ball roll. You want that same ball roll all the time. You want to know how much you're going to grow every day. I just think of it as a larger version with taller grass and a bigger ball. I want that ball roll to be the same no matter if it's 100 degrees outside or -10. No matter what the weather is, I want to try to have that ball roll be the same, the ball bounce be the same, be consistent.
Interesting. When I was walking down, I thought, oh, is that dirt? And realized it's sand that's underneath. Does that help with drainage?
Yes, that's exactly it. It's a USGA spec. It's built like a golf green, a certain combination of different sieve sizes and shapes of sand that think of it as a wet beach. When you run on a wet beach, you can get that footing to run. We want the stability, but we also need the drainage. So then when you have those 3-hour delays like we did last year for different rain events, then we can just come out and play. We don't have to worry about the water on the field.
One of those rain delays, I remember coming from the garage. My legs were wet up to my shins in terms of just walking on the street. And then we get here and I'm like, it doesn't even look like there's any water on the field. No standing water that I could find.
The combination of how the sand root zone is built, we have about 10 inches of sand over 4 inches of rock gravel, but also we have the sub-air vacuum system. So on those big rain events, we can actually pull it through faster.
Is it harder to maintain a pitch in the hot months, cold months? Does it not matter?
It's the swings. We have spring and fall in a day. It's trying to navigate the huge swings. When I first moved here, you look at the average temps. I'm like, no problem. Just like Virginia, where I live, just wherever else. I wasn't ready for it to be 20 degrees above or below that number every single day.
What would surprise fans, do you think, about the upkeep of a soccer pitch?
They probably know, but our equipment is much more sophisticated. The shorter you go, the more pristine it is, just the more work it takes. And when you keep lowering that height down to have like a golf green height or even a soccer pitch height, the shorter you go, the more you're going to need for fungicide, the more you're going to need for pesticides, the more you're going to have issues, so grass likes to grow at a certain height. The shorter you take it, the harder it gets.
This pitch here and over at the training center, are there differences between the two?
The ideal goal is to have them all the same. The reality is they were each built a little bit differently. And so that's our challenge as groundskeepers, making sure we practice what we play on. But it's also different, right? We had maybe 50 different types of events last year at City Park versus I think we're at 70 training sessions already this year at the training field. So there is a use difference, and trying to balance that.
Is there a busiest part of the pitch?
Believe it or not, warm-up areas and ref runs are some of the hardest areas to maintain. But typically on a match pitch, think of a diamond shape going from the goalkeeper out to the midline and then back in is kind of the wear pattern.
The coaches' boxes, if they were grass, would probably get some wear and tear.
Well, it is interesting. We do have to repaint those coaches' boxes every match because they do get so wore out.
Is there a particular player who's hardest on the pitch?
Leuven's plant foot on corner kicks is incredible. The amount of force on his plant leg on a corner is amazing. When we see multiples of him, you can see our faces getting worried if it's like more than 3 or 4.
But we're good if he scores, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's all worth it. Yeah.
Do they know the work level that goes into keeping their playing surface so pristine?
I don't think anyone really understands what it takes, especially in this climate, to do this well. It's very difficult. I think people know we work a lot, but I don't think people really understand. It is the greatest job in the world, but it comes with a lot of 7-day weeks and, long hours. And I mean, especially on those days we have City 2 the next day, we've got to mow that night or early that next morning and prep, as soon as the match is over. I always tell people, if you get into this industry, it's a lifestyle choice. And how do you integrate your family and then living a sports life, all into one? It's an addiction. It's a love affair. It's all that wrapped into one.
What is the degree that you got and the study that you did to get into a job like this?
Mine's in horticulture from Michigan State, but also you can get a turf grass science degree. Soccer is really what got me into that field. I was a horticulture major, but took turf science, and they had just the previous years done the 94 World Cup in the Pontiac Silverdome, and Michigan State was the lead on that, putting grass inside an indoor stadium, making this technique called sod on plastic, which is what we're using today 30 years later.
After you got your degree, did you go straight into sports?
I went to graduate school and studied turf grass physiology, and Virginia Tech had a great program that the athletic department funded a graduate student to work on the fields while getting their graduate degree. I was lucky enough then at age 26 to become a head groundskeeper at George Mason University, so I left a couple months early.
I'm already imagining some people when they work in a certain line of business. I bet that your eye for grass and your eye for turf, did you take that everywhere in your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to turn it off. I mean, I always say I don't know what my brain's capacity of seeing different shades of green is, but I definitely see much more than the average person. It's hard, yeah, to turn it off. But what's great is our industry. I know all the groundskeepers, so it's always communicating with everyone too. No matter where our team's going or if someone's coming here, we're always texting with each other like, pitch looks great and all that.
What do you like most about being in St. Louis and having City Park pitch be your field to take care of?
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard about the fans of St. Louis sports. So I was in Columbia for 12 years, and it's true. Like, it's so amazing. It's so great to come here every day. And then the interest people have in like resodding a pitch, I think is great. It feels like something every time you come into the City Park, and I just love that. And my family's been to every single match, and we can share that together. The team in general is just great. Everyone's really respectful, really nice. They give us great feedback. It's always like, how can we be better for them? And all of us working together with Brad, with the training staff, the performance staff, and just succeeding as one group is always great.
Josh McPherson of the St. Louis City grounds crew talking with Jen on earlier today.
Today, yeah. Good morning.
Topical as it gets.
Good morning.
Jen,
I walked down. I was startled because it was like, oh, there used to be grass there. And it wasn't. So they were laying down like, I don't know how many rows of it, but most of it was all the markers and the aeration and the drainage systems and beautiful matted down sand and rolls of sod ready to go.
So the pressure will be on for that first game on the new sod in a couple of weeks' time against Chicago.
Yeah,
if somebody,
Chicago should have to pay extra, and they're getting on like a brand new pitch.
Well, I'm thinking there's some risk though. If somebody's cleat gets stuck in some spot where things aren't exactly how they should be, and
if it's them, it's okay.
Don't.
Not us.
Oh my God.
Not us.
Oh God.
This lawyer talking.
I just started hyperventilating.
That's City.
Well, I mean, Chicago could still a problem if players get hurt.
They're fine. They'll be fine. They're big boys. You see,
Right. How much money did Reggie Bush get?
I got trucked by Klaus, and he's fine.
How much money did Reggie Bush get out of the city of St. Louis when he slipped on the sidewalk around the field at the Dome and tore his ACL? It was a lot of money.
Remember Vince Coleman got hurt too on the what was it? The tarp or something rolled up. What was it? Yeah, that Matt Pajeski's saying yes, and he is part of the game. He probably didn't get to sue.
Reggie Bush got $12.5 million.
Did you just look that up?
Reggie Bush got $12.5 million in damages from the St. Louis Rams for having slipped and torn his ACL.
Well, those are the Rams. So there
anyway.
you go. 8 minutes, and all you need to know about turf.
Exactly.
There you go. Turf,
it's a lot of fun.
There you go.
If you have any questions for Jen about turf specifically, you can call us at 314-436-7900.
I will redirect you to the interview.
You can tweet us at KMOX Sports. Bill McDermott has been pushed a couple of minutes because we got to get to a break, but we will have Bill coming up on the other side. Stay with us. More St. Louis City Soccer Report after this on KMOX.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Tree Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
If you're thinking about doing a little home improvement, especially one that you don't have to do the installation, think about getting a Beam central vacuum system. It's the kind of home upgrade that really checks all the boxes. Because when you compare and evaluate, a beam system makes so much sense. There's a reason why nearly every high-end home in St. Louis is built with a beam. A beam vacuum system is very smart because it adds value to your home. Beam whole house vacuum system starts at just $11.99, including installation. And it's an investment, not just in your home, but in a healthy lifestyle. Every time you vacuum, you'll save time because a beam is more efficient and 5 times stronger, so you'll clean better in less time. And since you're getting all the deep down dirt and grit, vacuuming with a beam will keep your rugs and carpets looking brand new for many years to come. So you get value from your beam system every day. Call Beam of St. Louis today. 314-567-1515 or online at beamstl.com.
Beam's home sale is starting early. Every system for every size home now on sale.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. If you or anyone in your family has been injured in a car accident, call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before, protecting America, fighting for you. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
1 in 4 people surveyed by Bankrate.com say they're literally losing sleep because of worries that they may have not saved enough to retire. If you're ready to get serious about planning for your financial future, you could start by listening to the All Financial Hour with host Steve All of the All Financial Group.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different. We're not here to sell you anything. If you want assistance, we can also help you at that point.
Tune in Saturday mornings at 10 right here on KMOX.
Wait a second. Think twice before signing that petition. That innocent petition is not a replacement for Roe versus Wade. We're talking late term and partial birth long after the baby can feel pain. But that's not all. Signing that petition obliterates parental rights. Worse, it strips away malpractice protections for prenatal care, childbirth, miscarriage care, and all other reproductive health care. So if you or your loved one is hurt while accessing reproductive care, you forfeit your rights to sue. So think twice before signing that petition and support our work at Coalition Life. Coalition Life is on a mission. We're dedicated to helping women faced with untimely pregnancies, providing them with compassionate alternatives that empower them with choices that protect and uphold their rights. Visit coalitionlife.com to learn more, because every life deserves a chance. Paid for by Coalition Life.
La 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 la. La, 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 la.
Oops. Ever had your singing lessons cut short by icy water?
Oh, I'm sorry, honey.
Say goodbye to those cold notes with Navien tankless water heaters. With Navien, you'll hit all the right notes without the surprise chill. So keep singing and let Navien keep the hot water flowing. And get ready for the encore when you get your utility bill.
La, 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 la.
Navien tankless water heaters. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com.
Make reservations for the 2024 Women of Achievement Award Luncheon, presented by KMOX. The award luncheon takes place Tuesday, May 14th at the Ritz-Carlton, St. Louis, and celebrates 10 outstanding volunteers from across the St. Louis metropolitan region. Doors open at 11:15, and the luncheon runs till 1:30. Reservations are $60 per person. Sign up now and find out more details at KMOX.com/events. Dive into all things Cardinals on Cardinals Conversations, your go-to location for exclusive content from KMOX. Catch it on the Odyssey app or your favorite podcast platform. Stay connected with your team. Cardinals Conversations, where the Redbird talk never stops. The Y98 St. Louis City Soccer Report continues on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Final half hour of the St. Louis City Soccer Report, and Mr. Soccer himself, Bill McDermott, is with us. Nate Gatter and Jen Siess with you this evening. Bill, we were talking during the last segment about what we might talk about with you, and we said, you know what, we'll just see what Bill wants to talk about, because he usually has a good idea.
Yeah, he knows.
So
you tell us. What should I open on my computer?
What has been on your mind recently?
Recently, let's not talk about MLS right away, but recently, because it just happens once a year, and Jen had mentioned this to me in her initial text to me, let's talk about City and Champions League. What a competition this has been. And 4 of the most famous teams left in the competition: Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, and Paris Saint-Germain. And the stories involving each one of these teams, legendary. And Real Madrid, they've won this tournament 14 different times. Back when it was just the European Cup, now it's the European Champions League. They just lend the trophy out on a year where they don't win it. But they're back into the Final Four now, and they always play, I think, they always play attractive soccer, but they play with 14 people because they're playing with the ghosts of Di Stefano, Puskás, and Hento, and that's why they're such a joy to watch. And just imagine then next year, if the rumor comes true that Kylian Mbappe from Paris Saint-Germain joins Real Madrid, and for 90 minutes, you have to defend against Vinicius Jr., Jude Bellingham, and Kylian Mbappe. No, thank you. Okay, that's it for me. What else you want to talk about?
Bill, you're just ripping my heart out because, making me talk about European soccer right now with just how the last month has gone for my boys in Liverpool. And on top of that, then we got to hear about, Liverpool are the kings of sort of, despite needing to be sustainable and not having the money that these big clubs the really big clubs can throw around, still finding a way to get themselves linked. Mbappe, they've been linked with when he initially chose Monaco, then when he chose PSG, then maybe they could work their way back into the conversation because he loves Klopp. They were, supposedly they were saving money for 2 years for Bellingham, and then he never really even considers them. So whether it's in the transfer market or whatever has happened on the field the last month and change, I mean, can we get you in to replace Klopp maybe and get things moving in the right direction?
But one thing about it, Nate, irrespective of all those things happening, and I totally agree with you, something seems to happen to Liverpool every year. But when they get to that home pitch, when they get in front of the Kop, something absolutely changes. And they've been, since Jurgen Klopp has been at the helm of Liverpool, they've been consistently one of the better teams in the world.
Yeah, no, certainly can't have any complaints. I finally got to be part of that Anfield atmosphere last month, and it was spectacular. So certainly, I mean, nothing but praise for the job that Klopp has done in the 8.5 years he's been there, and especially considering what he inherited. Let's talk a little bit about St. Louis City and sort of a crazy draw at 3-3. Some really good goals, some not so good
with
goals.
6 goals.
Some really physical play at times. What did you take away? What stuck in your mind from the game in KCK on Saturday?
The number one thing I took away from it was unforgivable that Kansas City would let that game get away from them, and the way Thomas Totland scored. Now, Thomas Totland is an example of why you change players in the offseason or why you go after someone. This guy is non-stop from corner flag to corner flag. He is a Frankie Haydock in 2024. He ran onto that ball after it was literally kept alive. Remember that Tim Balia takes a goal kick and Kyle Hebert just heads it straight up in the air. Thorson continues to keep it alive. Then it goes to Pompeo, to Klaus, to Ezil Jackson, lays it off to Totland, who's running like the game just started. Gets by that last defender and equalizes 3-3 within the 92nd, 93rd minute. But worse yet for Kansas City, earlier in the month of April 7th, as a matter of fact, they're beating Portland at home and get tied 3-3. But one of the things you mentioned, I'd be curious if George said anything about this. The second goal that City scored, Pompeo with a magnificent finish, a goal anywhere in the world. You tell me that wasn't a foul on Klaus to win that ball?
No, you just made Nate so happy.
I've been the only one saying
Dale
it's a foul. Everybody else.
Dale
said
says
no. Andrew Wiebe said no foul. George said no foul. I said I think 95
and I
times.
said you're being a baby.
I think 98 times out of 100 that's given as a foul.
Oh my! You talk about it. There's such a thing as a legitimate shoulder charge. What is George thinking about? Retired too long.
Best they are my booty, huh?
his flag couldn't have gone up quicker. It's the referee's job to know the difference between winning the ball fairly or a foul. And by the way, on the first goal, That was a marginal one against Durkin as well. Was that a legitimate shoulder challenge?
I'm going to start a rumor, Bill. I'm going to start a rumor that you're a Sporting fan.
No, not
you
by any
dare.
means. Not by any means. Their first goal was very, very nice. 1-2 at top speed. Polito scores. Very nicely done. But it was unforgivable for them to let that game get away from them at home. But, hey, St. Louis has an upcoming difficult May in that they get 5 games in 22 days. I think you talked about it. They got a game on the 11th, the 15th, and the 18th, one of which involves travel to go to Cincinnati on the 18th.
LAFC and Cincinnati in 4 days with travel in between.
So they are a busy, busy squad. And then they begin June 1st. June 1st. What a soccer Saturday. It's Cup Saturday, Jen, as we go to Wembley Stadium to watch the Champions League final and watch St. Louis City at Miami. So it's Cup Saturday on June 1st. Don't forget it. By the way, Jen, could you explain the attributes of North Bridge, Bermuda for us?
I will refer you back to the taped conversation I had with Josh McPherson, who has many degrees in this field. I learned a lot about turf.
What a magnificent field he has kept from the very get-go. And likewise with the training facility. And as he pointed out, they're the same consistency, which is exactly what the team was looking for, because they want to be the same at home. They go to some of these warm weather climates where the turf is usually baby Bermuda, what's famous, the Rose Bowl in particular. Very fine, small, just very above the surface of the dirt. But it never gets worn out simply because it's a warm weather turf.
Yeah, there's something too. I also want to stop talking about grass because I don't know any more than what the 8 minutes of what Josh told me. but 2 things about last City game that excited me beyond the Klaus hit on Gatter, which was just phenomenal. I really loved Klaus making that overlapping run for Salio. I think that his movement as a striker, I really like that. It opens up just a half a second for Salio to get a little bit more open, and really, of course, he strikes that ball so nicely. And the Thomas Totland goal, need to call out that it's one thing to get that ball at 100 miles an hour like he was going, and it's another thing to watch him take a breath, take a moment, and with discipline and accuracy, put that ball at that far post so nicely. It's such an easy thing to do with that momentum, to have that ball, just get kicked over the goal or not put it on frame. He put it perfectly inside the frame.
Jen, especially that time of the game when you usually see a fatigue play, him hitting it wide or over the top. And also, in keeping with what you just said, talked about the description of the goal, he also had a little look up, as a matter of fact. But the ball was played to him perfectly, and he made absolutely no mistake. But I enjoyed the game for some of the goals that were scored, and I can't agree more about Klaus. You will not find a number 9, well, pretty much anywhere in this league, work as hard as he does without the ball to make himself available. Who's the most important person? The person without the ball. He's always willing to do some running without the ball to make it easier for his teammate to play. He shows on an angle. He wants the ball on the ground. He's good in the air, as we just talked about. He obviously won't hide in a physical game, but he's continually involved. And he's more or less saying, I think, come on, boys, hop on my back and let's go. We're not going to lose this game away from home.
Okay, one more quick one because it came out today.
Yes,
Indianapolis plans to pursue MLS expansion team, raising questions on Indy 11. Nate reminded me that this kind of very thing happened in St. Louis City when we had St. Louis FC. We now have St. Louis City SC. I saw a lot of thoughts, some people being excited, some people being really kind of upset about this news in wanting to pursue an MLS expansion team.
Because, Jen, Indy 11 in the USL Championship has always been well regarded. And in Indianapolis, they have found themselves a home. However, if Indy 11 wants to be considered as a real home for soccer in the United States, you have to be in Major League Soccer. That's my opinion. I am not downgrading the Indy 11 team by any means. There were some great games at the soccer park involving Indy 11. But that would be the 31st team with San Diego joining next year. The possible team that left with no sign of why was Sacramento. If you remember, they were the odds-on favorite to be the expansion team, and that effort just totally fell apart. But,
yeah, sort of reminiscent of the initial false start, if you will, bringing MLS here to St. Louis.
Yes, sir. Exactly right. And what had transpired with that was that the league came in to take a look. Don Garber and his entire staff. They didn't say it at the time, but Jeff Cooper had done a magnificent job of putting everything together imaginable. And that's when the league was really keen on keeping a team in its original downtown area.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where St. Louis City has hit an absolute home run. Jen, it's unprecedented in league history that you have everything together in one centralized downtown area with a magnificent stadium, but just as importantly, immediately adjacent, the training facilities, the team shop, the locker rooms, the offices, everything together the way it's supposed to be and the way it's done literally around the world.
Bill, we appreciate your time as always. Nate. And I think in the future, when you come on, I'm probably going to take that same approach where, you just you take us where you want to go.
I love it.
That'd be fine. By the way, Jen, I don't know if you saw, Nate, excuse me, real quick, to celebrate the 1999 Women's World Cup team, they're going to be honored in a 21st anniversary summer historic win, honoring that, as a matter of fact. When they play, remember the game at the Rose Bowl, 90,185? They're going to be playing July 13th, the women's national team against Mexico.
I did not see that.
The 99ers will be welcome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Honors. Yeah, it is.
Love it.
Led by number 11, Julie Foudy.
Love it. I was number 11. Not as good as Julie, but
that's awesome.
Right,
well, we appreciate it, Bill, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thanks. Bye, Jen.
Bye.
Mr. Soccer, Bill McDermott, with us here on the St. Louis City Soccer Report. We'll finish things out with our last segment coming up next. Last chance to get any calls or tweets in. I don't know if we're checking the text line. Maybe Matt Pajeski can check it during the break. 314-436-7900 is the number to call or text at KMOX Sports, where you can tweet. Nate Gatter, Jen Siess, one more segment after this on KMOX.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. My friends Mark and Neil Gelman. Check out the only agents that I trust at thegelmanteam.com.
What's wrong with Rick? He's kind of spacey. That's Rick's identical twin, Scott. He's not used to answering to Rick. What's going on? Rick asked me to keep it secret, but he asked his twin to cover his shift so he could go to Diamonds Direct to shop. But this is a jewelry store. Exactly. But the prices and selection are so much better at Diamonds Direct. Rick doesn't want the boss to get suspicious, so Scott's here in case the boss sees Rick at Diamonds Direct. But that would mean that the boss is at Diamonds Direct too. Yeah, we have a lot of secrets.
You never know who you'll run into at Diamonds Direct with unbeatable direct importer prices, the highest quality diamonds, the most sought-after designer rings, the best customer service, the strongest guarantees in the industry. It's just a no-brainer.
You think if Scott had a mustache, he'd look like me?
Go where everyone goes. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com.
When our truck stops in front of your home,
you'll know it's there.
because you'll feel magic in the air.
You'll see the magic with your eyes.
When that junk disappears,
And you'll feel the fresh air freedom.
throughout your body,
When that dull junk is gone, all your cool stuff will sparkle.
you'll smile.
You'll dance.
You'll call your friends.
Because you'll want them to see it and feel it too.
When you're ready to unleash the delight,
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The Y98 St. Louis City Soccer Report continues on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Nate Gatter, Jen Siess, we got 5 more minutes, and none of you losers have called us, and I don't have anything else to say.
Let's keep Matt on.
I don't know what. Ooh. Oh, let's do that.
That's
a great idea.
Oh,
I knew he would think
happy.
of something.
He's so happy.
I knew he would think of something.
That's
so
the
Matt
producer in
Majeski
me.
is
You're
with
welcome.
us, and this is actually great timing because Matt, everybody say congratulations. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Congratulations.
Oh,
Matt just got promoted.
I was like, why are we doing that?
There you go. Just for fun. Matt just got promoted, so he's going to be moving to the day shift. He's going to have normal human hours.
Non-vampire hours.
This is going to be great, but unfortunately, he will not often, if ever, be producing our show going forward. So this is a perfect time now to talk to Matt, who has gone from knowing absolutely nothing about soccer and not caring about it at all a year and a half ago to now being probably the least soccer knowledgeable member of the credentialed media at City Park for home games.
I'm sure there are some with credentials that have less knowledge.
There might be.
I know there are.
At this point, you have been to 1 or 2 City games as a fan, and at least a few so far this year. 2 and 2. At how quickly, I assume it has, how quickly did it grow on you and sort of catch hold for you, at least as a spectator experience?
Oh, the very first game as a fan, like it's still taking me a while to get into the rules of the game and learn all that. But as a fan from the very first game, seeing the crowd reaction, seeing just how pumped up everybody gets, that you stand the entire time, that the fan section going crazy, waving the flags, doing all that. Like I was hooked on that on the fan experience from the get-go. Now it's still going to take me some time to actually learn the ins and outs of the game, and I'm probably the only person in the press box on my laptop looking up like, how do you get a corner kick? Like,
no, more of us should do that.
I said, let me read to you this text I got from Matt Majeski. This was I received this text at 4:00 on Sunday, April 14th, which was probably early in the second half of City's 1-0 win at home over Austin. He said, quote, "I guarantee you I am the only one in the City Park press box who is actively looking up the rules of soccer while the game is being played. But it takes you got to be man enough to admit when you don't know and ask a question.
There are sometimes fans that, we all could use a little scrub up on. That would make George so happy, Matt. Very, very much so. I got to ask you a favorite moment in there. So you talked about the supporters. One of my favorite times is when the lights go dark, which is a little less in the day game. But when it goes dark and you get like the red beam all around, that's kind of like where I'm like, my heart jumps a little bit. How about you?
This very, very, very similar to that. Even during the day game when they've got the pyrotechnics going on in the team, and they announce the starting 9, they walk out and there's flames shooting up. And the last game I went to, the new Billikens men's basketball coach Josh Hertz was there, and Rebecca Tillett was there. They were waving the flags in front of the supporter section, and it was just so cool to see just St. Louis kind of come together there. SLU is represented. Everybody's pumped up. It was a great game. That's my favorite part of the game so far.
Just so you know, baseball man, you said starting 9.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. It makes it feel it's starting 11. 11. See, but we're growing the game. We welcome everyone.
I love this.
Matt, we appreciate you so much, and congratulations on your big promotion.
Thanks. Don't make me talk soccer ever again.
Yeah, poor Matt. I was gonna let it go, and then Jen was like, "Let's embarrass him."
You read a text from him on the air.
Yeah, but it was that was like a cute. That was
It was not. You don't get to say your stuff you do is
no,
cute.
that's true. That's true. That's a fair point.
So
the one thing I was going to say, and I think you both are sort of going in this direction about so much enjoying the pregame festivities and sort of the intensity of that. One of the really fun things, I think, especially in this market since the Rams left, that we have two teams that people are very passionate about, but they're both long seasons, right? The Cardinals play 162 regular season games, 81 of them at home. The Blues play 82 regular season games, 41 of them at home. City only play 34 regular season league games. They play, the cups and whatever. Although now, Leagues Cup, they got eliminated from Champions Cup like that. They're not playing Open Cup. So the season is shortening in that sense. But there are only 17 regular season home MLS games. That's not very many. It's not as few as 8 or 9 now in the NFL, but it's the closest we have in terms of really high intensity for every game. And I think that does appeal to the casual fan to a certain degree as well.
That's a good point. Make the most of the few times you get, right?
Right. City will be off this weekend. Speaking of how few games there are, all right, nothing this weekend. Next time City will be in action will be the following Saturday, May the 4th, when City go down to Houston to play the Dynamo. We'll have it for you on our sister station Y98. Jen will have the pregame at 7 Central. Joey and Dale will have the call at 7:30. And the first game on that new City Park turf will be at home against Chicago on May the 11th, starting that big week when they'll play Chicago, then LAFC at home, then Cincinnati away, 3 games in the span of 1 week. It's been the St. Louis City Soccer Report right here on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
What better way to support your nutrition than with the multivitamin that was created right here in St. Louis? Neovitamin